Okay, Doyle, thank you so much for attending our summit here today. And on behalf of Huawei, I would like to thank World Bank for contributing to our Huawei Digital Transformation Forum.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. My first event with Huawei, and I'm quite impressed. Thank you.
First of all, we would like to discuss today the digital connectivity. We believe that just like the whole world, that digital connectivity is now the basic entry for digital prosperity for all countries and communities and everyone. And even people now, I believe they started even to talk about connectivity attributes more than the connectivity itself. So maybe connectivity now is taken for granted. So what's from your perspective, what are the main economic value for economy overall for digital connectivity?
Great question. And the World Bank, as you know, we are owned by 163 of the world's governments. And our mission in life is the eradication of extreme poverty. So you say, why is the World Bank involved in digital solutions, digital economy? It's because we think through digital solutions, through ICTs, is one of our most powerful tools that we can scale up and we can have more immediate impact than some of our other sectors that we work with, of course. And so it's about getting the job done quicker and more effectively. And again, our goal is the eradication of extreme poverty. That's why we do it. And we believe that you can't only just talk about economic impact, you have to talk about economic and social impact.
For people's lives and stuff like that.
We talk both together, never one or the other. And the World Bank was one of the first to come out with some real analytical work to try to estimate what is the impact of building infrastructure, of providing internet access. We were criticized because there were some issues related with the study, but what was important is we put the agenda front and center. People began to talk about it and start to plan around it. After that, several studies have been done. I like to talk about the Deloitte study that was recently done where they said, if we could take, they looked at four regions. They looked at Latin America, Africa, South Asia, and India, and they said, if we can raise these countries to the level of developed country internet access penetration, approximately 75%, what could be the impact? It's trillions of dollars. It's millions of jobs.
Yes.
And it's bringing people out of poverty. So that's why we're in this. And not only that, we have to think about the development agenda. And we believe that the only way to effectively meet the Sustainable Development Goals, all 17 of them, has to be through ICTs.
Yes.
We touch and enable every one of them. And unless we become smarter and more effective of deploying digital solutions, we're not going to meet those goals.
I completely agree, and when you mentioned also the ICT sector, I believe when you put that attention on the ICT sector, it very much affects the overall industries.
Right.
People now do not talk about telecom industry or ICT industry by itself. We all talk about other industry.
That's right.
And that's great from what World Bank is doing and about digital connectivity itself. But when we start to talk about digital connectivity and how to have the digital inclusion for all of those countries, of course we face barriers. And I know that you already mentioned and in your studies some of the highlighting some of the barriers. But can you comment on those countries, like for example in Latin America and then Africa and maybe in Asia? We have different markets, and different markets come with different barriers as well.
Exactly.
So can you comment on some of those barriers that you think are really significant for going up into the digital ladder, if you will?
Right. Well, my job at the World Bank is Global Lead for Broadband Access. So my charge in life is to ensure and assist our client governments, which are the poorest governments of the world, to really plan for the safest, the most affordable, and the highest quality bandwidth possible for those who are not connected. If I do my job correctly, I should be out of a job in the next 7 to 10 years, which I hope.
Yeah.
Move on and do something else. But we've got a long way to get there.
Sure.
it's sad to say we still have 4 billion people who are not connected to the internet.
And that's what you mentioned, the access gap.
The access gap
Yeah.
is real, and although we have 3G and 4G networks that cover, according to the GSMA's latest stats, like 3.3 billion are covered with a footprint, but they're not using the internet. And the expectations are that by 2025, we're going to make some improvement, but there's still going to be over 2 billion people not connected. That's the challenge we have. And the barriers are the typical barriers that we need to deal with, the hard stuff. The technology is going to take us a long way to getting there and solving the problems. The likes of the Huaweis of the world are doing their best. Now, we need to help the Huaweis of the world. We need to help them by putting in place an enabling environment in these countries. The policies, the regulations that are updated and promote private sector investment.
Perfect.
If you look historically at telecoms, it's the private sector that is primarily
getting it
responsible
energized,
for
yes.
investment, for innovation, knowledge sharing. So unless we help our governments attract that, we're not going to get there. And we have countries who need capacity, whether it's Latin America, whether it's Africa, they need capacity for dealing with these new technologies, these new regulations. We have capital that's sitting on the sidelines. We need trillions of dollars, actually billions, depending on which region you look at, to bring in to start to make these investments. But we have to have the right setting. We have to de-risk the risks.
Of course.
We have to look at private capital that looks at long-term periods of greater than 20 years. And we have to have demand.
Perfect. Yeah.
Affordable content that is relevant, and people that have the skills to be able to put internet to use.
Yeah, it's well said, Doyle. I mean, I also believe that lowering the investment risk, this is the thing that will get us up and running. And also in Huawei, I would like also to resonate with what you've said about the gaps. Yes, we do see demand gap in some of the countries, that there are some even locked traffic that's there that we cannot really serve it. So there is a demand gap is there, the supply gap is there. Not just the infrastructure supplies, there are some even roads supply. And of course the access gap. So with that being said, and also you commented also on my next question. Actually, my next question would have been the role of the ecosystem. So you commented on the government and regulation and policy and how to encourage private investment. So what do you think about the innovation in terms of relevancy of services and contents? How can we push that through?
But you raise a very important point. It's not just about connectivity.
Yes.
We can be very successful in getting people connected. The real question is, do we put the ecosystem in place with multi-stakeholders so
to facilitate this connectivity? So
they can use this to improve their daily lives. And that's where we think beyond just connectivity, we are now implementing a strategy with 4 fundamental aspects about the digital economy. The digital economy is where we want to be.
So
not
that's
about
a
connectivity,
target.
But it's digital economy, where we have basically put in place the digital infrastructure. We've put in place the government platforms to provide services. We've helped develop the skills needed, the basic ICT skills needed. And we have basically 3 pillars that are going to drive the economy. That is e-commerce, e-payments of all sorts. It's entrepreneurship, creating new businesses, creating new jobs.
Small businesses.
Exactly.
Yes.
SMEs.
Those are,
they start small, right? Everyone starts somewhere. And then thirdly, the E of everything, the e-health, the e-ag, everything has to be smart. Smart and inclusive and green.
Yes.
That's what drives us. That's where we want to be.
Okay, smart, inclusive, and green, and also safe as well.
Definitely.
You know, because I believe when you provide the safety and the broadband for people, and that's what will facilitate the happiness for the people, which we're all looking after as well. But my last question to you is about the connectivity. We all think, I mean, we've seen now that the mobility is really part of the people's life, not just a broadband access. Mobility is very important. So do you think how do you think the role of mobility? You know, you already illustrated the role of broadband.
Right.
But how about mobility, mobile access, mobile broadband, wireless connectivity? How do you envision that to be?
You know, that has really been the game changer since you know, the turn of the century. It was the mobile revolution, the mobile magic, we call it. We did a lot in the bank in enabling those licenses to be offered, the spectrum to be released. That's why we're here talking about at the Mobile World Congress about what has been done. But we view it as, we wish it was just a wireless solution. It's not just a wireless solution. That's going to get us to the last mile. And if we get smart devices in all of our client country citizens, that's going to be a real turning point, that are affordable, safe. But we also know that it's not just about wireless. If we want to talk about, you know, transforming into the new technologies and leapfrogging where our countries are now, we have to think about backhaul. We have to think about wireline, fiber optics right now.
Of course.
They keep promising the fiber substitute of wireless. I haven't seen it yet. I hope to see it. But in that ideal world, I guess we wouldn't have to dig trenches and deal with civil works. It'd be a lot easier, a lot quicker. And we're hoping for that day. But right now, we have to think about all this, the whole infrastructure.
The whole thing, and I agree with you. Infrastructure,
the whole supply chain.
Yes, infrastructure is infrastructure, and wireless is just part of it. But yeah, we're talking about mobility because this is a demand now for people on the access on the go, if you will. That's good. I'd like to thank you for your insights about doing this and how World Bank is helping in that. And in Huawei, we really take that serious. We do not just talk to carriers when we do business. I mean, we would like to include also all of the ecosystem, including yourself as part of the ecosystem as well. And welcome to Barcelona. And
thank you.
Again, thank you so much.
Yeah, and again, I'm here because the World Bank cannot do this alone. We need partners like Huawei and several other key elements, other donors who are going to make this happen.
Perfect. Very good. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.